As you start to think about creating accessible documents and materials for your classroom, there are a few things that you need to do in order to change your practice. One of the things that you can do is to be specific and use unique hyperlinks when describing things on your web page, in your learning management system, or any of the links that you use in chat while doing a video conference. Screen readers scan pages or documents for links just like we do sighted users do when we look at a website. Often we are scanning it just to find where do I click so that I can complete that form. So if the hyperlink says click here, and there's several hyperlinks on a page, it can be very confusing to someone using a screen reader. Which link am I trying to get to? And where is it taking me? So for example, if you're pointing visitors to a page called About Us, try not to say click here to read about our company. Instead, try to say something like, to learn more about our company, read About Us. About Us is the portion that is being hyperlinked into this document. Remember, a hyperlink is just a hidden URL that takes us to some place. We wouldn't want to put the full URL there because one, they're ugly. They can be up to 500 characters and they don't mean much to us. www.https:// continue on would be read to a screen reader if we just copied and pasted the link in there. In addition, using unique hyperlinks can help us optimize our search engine. Nobody ever searched for click here. Rather, we might search for something like to engage students in discourse during online learning. That would be something that if you had hyperlinked that into a document, Google might search for me. If you need help creating hyperlinks, right now in this little video, you'll see a moving gift on the right-hand side that explains how to do it, but there are also many help files within your own platform as well. Another thing to consider in your change of practice is the use of images. Screen readers will use the name of the image and not the text within the image. You can see on the right-hand side here, there's an image that has a lot of text within it. It has RCW information. However, the screen reader would read image 456C54. If I am not sighted and cannot visually see this image, I have lost a lot of the meaning and therefore do not understand the next steps by viewing this image. In order to help our non-sighted or screen reader users, we need to set alt text. Alt text is hidden captions that allow the screen readers to convey the information within the image. In this case, I might put an alt text with the specific RCW information referenced in this image. To learn more about alt text, please see the help files within the product that you are using. Color is another thing that educators love and we use to convey information. However, we need to be careful with using color alone to convey information, as those with color blindness can often struggle when we use color alone. You'll notice on the left-hand or the right-hand side of the screen, I have an image that shows which dancers have made which competition level. The blue is for beginners, the yellow is for intermediate, and the purple is for advanced. However, if I cannot see color because I have one of several color blindness levels, this does not give me very much information. Instead, I could add the text within the color, still getting the color coding, but now my colorblind students and teachers and other people would be able to understand the meaning of things. In order to know if your color has a high enough contrast, please use one of the color contrast checkers listed on the screen here. Another quick tip is to print preview in grayscale, and if you can still see it, then it's probably has enough color contrast. If you can't, you need to tweak it just a little bit to ensure that all learners can access the material. Headings or styles can be used to set up a outline for our screen readers. Screen readers often use outlines. Think back to middle school or high school when you had to give that essay outline to your English teacher to understand and move within the page. Headings should be used to separate the content into meaning sections instead of formatting text. So normally what we do to make a heading on our page is that we highlight it, we turn it bold, we increase this font size. However, this does not change how it sits on the outline or the organization. Screen reader software provides keyboard shortcuts that can go from heading to heading with tabs and links, and so it makes it so much easier if we can use these headings. It is recommended that we use heading 1, 2, or 3 instead of title and subtitle, as that's how many HTML websites are set up. You also need to be careful to include headings within tables. And for more information on how to use headings within your specific Word or Google Docs, please see their help files as well. Font is something that many of us play with to try to get a reader's attention. However, we want to encourage you to use real text rather than graphics, just like we talked about with those images. We don't want the image to be the text. We want the image to be there and text to be outside of the image. We want to use basic, simple, easy to read fonts. You should limit the number of fonts. This isn't a ransom note, so 1 to 2 different fonts on a page is significant. Ensure that there's enough contrast between the text and the background. Avoid the use of small fonts. Their recommendation is to use 14-point font or larger in many cases. Make sure to use relative units for font size. Anything below 10 is going to be very difficult for many to read. Limit the use of font variations such as bold, italics, and all capital letters. Screen readers don't announce any of these features. And don't rely on the appearance of the font. So if I am relying on it being bold to indicate that it's important, but my non-visual students don't know that because bold is not announced on a screen reader, then I'm really not getting their attention. How else can I do that? And avoid blinking or moving text. You can see that I have this moving text up here, which is very distracting and also can, if it's blinking fast enough, can make people sick with a seizure. As I mentioned before, font size is very important, not only to our visually impaired students, but also to those of us who need cheaters or our eyes are strained from constant use of the computer. Some guidelines to consider is to use text that's no smaller than 12 to 14 font and to never have text smaller than 9 point. And this would be footers, headers, some of that small referencing piece. This not only helps our legally blind readers as well as those of us that have aging eyes.